Pro Wrestling Weekly presents Today in Wrestling History, May 19. On this date in 1991, WCW held its Super Brawl pay-per-view. In the main event, Ric Flair defeated Tatsumi Fujinami to win the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. On this date in 2002, WWE held its Judgment Day pay-per-view. In the main event, The Undertaker pinned Hulk Hogan to win the WWE Undisputed Heavyweight Championship. On this date in 1971, Dionisio Castellanos Torres was born. The former WCW Cruiserweight champion known as Psychosis turns 41 today. On this date in 1996, WCW held its Slamboree pay-per-view. In the main event, The Giant pinned Sting in a match for the WCW World Heavyweight Championship. This has been Today in Wrestling History, May 19. Welcome back to Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com. We've got a ton we've been talking about today. Of course, WWE Raw expanding to 3 hours starting July 23rd. Your thoughts on the Sacrifice pay-per-view, which have been pretty positive reviews overall. Maybe a couple of nitpicky things, but for a TNA pay-per-view, especially with it ending with a clean finish for the first time, and I can't tell you how many months, it looks like they're heading in the right direction. At least I think. We can get your thoughts on the WWE Over the Limit pay-per-view that's coming up tomorrow night. I already laid out my predictions, certain to go wrong. Quick recap of those. Kane, Beth Phoenix, Kofi Kingston and R-Truth, John Laurinaitis, Sheamus, and Punk. My projected winners on that one. Also, as I said, Raw expanding to 3 hours. TNA Impact live shows starting May 31st, and that's when they move from 8 to 10 as opposed to 9 to 11 on Thursday nights. Also, Brooke Hogan, she is going to be involved with TNA starting on that May 31st show. And speaking of the Hogans, they've gotten them. It seems like they've gotten themselves in the news quite a bit. First of all, to Linda. She and her boyfriend, Charlie Hill, have finally parted ways. There was a lot of therapy involved, and the couple realized they needed to do their own thing. That's according to Linda's attorney, Raymond Rafool, the same one who is currently also the attorney of John Cena's soon-to-be former wife, as they are getting divorced also. Charlie Hill, of course, making news following the Hogan divorce by dating Linda despite the fact that he is 29 years younger than she is and was actually a classmate of their daughter, Brooke Hogan. At the time, Linda was 48 and Charlie Hill was 19 years old. Meanwhile, Hogan's attorney revealed that his client, Linda, has a new business venture. Quote, Linda is extremely busy developing her soon-to-be-released cosmetic line and in pursuing her several television projects, that, of course, coming from E! Entertainment. So, sorry that it didn't work out, and college freshmen, look out. Linda Hogan is back on the prowl. That's horrible, I know. Got a chuckle from Wild Bill Melody on that one. Seems like I said, it seems like it's the Hogan show a little bit, but courtesy of Scott Steiner, he's got more Hogan news for us. He's back to tweeting negative shots at Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff. Quote, haven't tweeted lately because I got a letter from a lawyer representing Hogan and Bischoff basically saying they take my tweets seriously, and if threats continue, they will take to law enforcement. Really, Hogan, my tweets scare you? I've said worse in interviews on TV. I want to thank you because your actions speak louder than any words that I could have spoken. Sorry for scaring you. Maybe I will challenge you to a game of checkers, says Steiner. He followed up on the Brooke Hogan signing just when you think it could get any, or just when you didn't think it could get any worse in TNA, it has, and guys are pissed because Hogan has brought in his no-talent daughter. Bleepin' unbelievable. Very scathing words by Scott Steiner. And after weeks of getting lambasted, the Hogans finally could take no more, so they finally responded to these allegations and whatnot from Scott Steiner. Hulk Hogan first, he said, tried to be cool, not only a clown, but also a liar. Those weren't my lawyers, they were TNA lawyers. Well, I guess it's time to call my guys in. I really hope he saved his money or is making tons from the independents he's working because it's going to get expensive. Maybe he's smart enough to at least figure it out when it starts getting real. What a shame. What a waste of a great talent, but you can't tell an idiot they're an idiot. It's really sad when you really thought someone was really cool. That's a lot of reallys in there. The Miz is probably going to be seeking copyright infringement. No. Brooke, however, she was a little more colorful, and I'm going to have to use selective language on this. A certain wrestler with a stupid mesh hat needs to hashtag STFU. Number one, stop overcompensating for your little problem. So creative, Brooke. 2, act like a gentleman. 3, I'd, quote, make more money on my back than you ever would in your whole career. Shut up. You look like a toddler. And this is somebody who's going to be working for TNA in a couple of weeks. Keep that in mind. P.S. LOL, if he's such a big, scary man, don't block someone who's never tweeted you. Mind you, I've only been kind to this completely incoherent shell of a man. You really need to call people out to get noticed? Well, you did, and now everyone can see how desperate you truly are. Stop talking crap about my family. Interesting, colorful words from the recently hired Brooke Hogan. All right, on to not Hogan news, because there actually is a pretty good amount of that. As I was teasing earlier, Men's Fitness seeking to bring back its monthly circulation, looking to bring it above 600,000 as promised to its advertisers, and will make a rare switch. As it's a men's fitness magazine, it will feature a woman on the next month's cover. That woman? Former WWE diva and Baltimore Ravens cheerleader, Stacy Keibler. And I believe, I was going to say, is she still dating George Clooney? I don't know. I haven't exactly paid a whole lot of attention to that, other than, slight, I guess, jealousy on jealousy of Clooney, but what do you expect? A little bit of political news. Linda McMahon rival Christopher Shea's campaign is questioning whether McMahon received a campaign endorsement from the Republican Town Committee Chairman John Slater in exchange for WrestleMania tickets. Gotta love that endorsement in exchange for tickets, allegedly. I find it interesting that John Slater went to WrestleMania in Miami and soon after he returned came out and endorsed Linda McMahon. That comes from a Shea's campaign spokesperson. Slater denies the allegation. If they're insinuating a bribe, which I can prove never happened, that's totally wrong. If that's the road that his campaign is now taking, it shows another reason why not to vote for him, because it's a lie. Oh, politics. You think it's Monday to Friday from noon to 1. No. Here's some interesting news. Might we be seeing Chris Jericho's final days in his WWE run? Well, the WWE website is playing up the possibility that Chris Jericho could be entering his final days with the company if he fails to win the World Heavyweight Championship at tomorrow's Over the Limit pay-per-view. Quote, when Chris Jericho returned to WWE in January, he did so with much fanfare and a pointed, tantalizing promise. His enigmatic arrival would herald the end of the world. Now, more than 5 months later, Jericho may be facing his final days in a WWE ring if he fails to capitalize on his fourth title opportunity in as many pay-per-view events at WWE Over the Limit tomorrow. That's, of course, from WWE.com. And they're looking for all the help they can get because there's a possibility, if the law passes, that WWE may lose a major sponsor. A proposed amendment may prohibit the U.S. military from sponsoring professional or semi-professional sporting events, according to a USA Today report. The amendment reads, none of the funds made available in this act may be used to sponsor professional or semi-professional motorsports, fishing, wrestling, or other sports. Representative Betty McCollum's website states that the Department of Defense is spending more than $80 million this year to sponsor NASCAR racing teams, Indy racing, professional bass fishing, pro wrestling, and ultimate fighting. So this will also affect UFC as well as the WWE. So interesting changes. It's made its way through the House. It still has to go through the Senate. But if that passes, that's some major revenue lost for the WWE. Also, former WWE star Chyna collapsed at an adult entertainment convention in Miami on Friday. TMZ reporting that she was taken to a nearby hotel, while Radar Online is reporting that she was rushed to a local hospital. TMZ also reports that she canceled a Friday afternoon appearance at a second porn convention. Another turn for the worse for the former women's and intercontinental champion, Chyna. Whew. Also, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, of course, he's been filming movies. He's got G.I. Joe just recently I think just recently came out. He was profiled on Forbes.com with the emphasis on his movie career, specifically how he's turned around floundering franchises like Fast and Furious, Journey to the Center of the Earth, and presumably G.I. Joe. The story follows Rock from his wrestling days through his early films and today, noting that Rock's films have grossed $2.3 billion worldwide, billion with a B. Yeah, I'm shocked, too. In the article, Rock says that he was forced to stop talking about wrestling by his agents. This is an interesting note. Forced to stop talking about wrestling by his agents, and that his decision to return to the ring included firing those same agents. So all that time transitioning from The Rock to Dwayne The Rock Johnson to just Dwayne Johnson, apparently that was his people kind of telling him, all right, you need to stay away from wrestling, as opposed to The Rock volunteering, kind of biting the hand that fed him as far as what gave him his fame, popularity, and notoriety. So it's a little bit of an interesting tidbit there. Also, a couple of re-signings. TNA wrestler Gunner announced via Twitter that he has signed a new 3-year contract with the company. Quote, proud to say that I've signed 3 more years with Impact Wrestling, a.k.a. TNA. I will make the most out of this. World champion? One day. Yeah, damn right. And TNA referee Earl Hebner announced that he re-signed with the company as well, saying, quote, I signed with TNA for 2013. That's via his Twitter page. This is home for me. When I leave, my ref shirt and boots will be hanging on TNA ring ropes. Hebner, both Earl and twin brother Dave Hebner, of course, noted longtime WWE officials, of course, going over to TNA for the last few years. They just recently celebrated their 63rd birthday this past week. So hard to say how many more years that Earl Hebner has left, but as far as activity, but we'll see. Either way, it doesn't look like he's going back to WWE anytime soon. And an injury to note as well, Mark Henry announcing via his Twitter page that he will be undergoing surgery this past Tuesday. When I return, I will be the fire-breathing, pain-inflicting, face-melting, better than ever Mark Henry. He followed up with a tweet, listen up, if not, I will walk away. I have too much pride to not deface anyone in the WWE. The Hall of Pain is open for business. So Mark Henry didn't say what the procedure was or how long he'd be out, but looks like he's going to be undergoing some semblance of surgery, or at least he did this past week. A little bit more Facebook feedback coming in. And, of course, Mike chiming in on the expansion to 3 hours of Raw, saying a 3-hour Raw sounds great, but not like the old days, and it takes away from the 3-hour pay-per-views. They should only be 3 hours, as in they being the pay-per-views. Need McMahon to come back out to take back the show. We need to have McMahon come out at Over the Limit and do the classic, "You're fired." I don't know how many of those Vince has left. I mean, over the last, 5 years, his vocal cords sound like they've been run through a cement mixer. So I don't know how much more of those gravelly fireds necessarily are left. And of course, leave it to John from the Northeast to have a couple of interesting ventures. Of course, regarding the China story, and of course, China recently being involved in an adult entertainment spoof of the Avengers movie. John chimes in, Batman, Spider-Man, and the Avengers do not approve, condone, or support China. Very interesting note there. And also, in reference to Scott Steiner, he says, Scott Steiner at least generates buzz and lots of talk if he's doing something good or bad. Steiner can be talked about without the need to mention his entire family's failed ventures. Remember his WWE debut back in 2002 at Survivor Series? The pop he got was massive from the crowds at MSG. His mic skills may be questionable, and he throws an example, just watch Botchamania, but when he strikes a nerve, he hammers it. Imagine Brooke working with Scott on his promos or entrance music. I think if it happened, you would see which of the two has no talent and is completely stupid. Holla if you hear me. So a Scott Steiner supporter in the mix in John from the Northeast. And more feedback coming in. It's amazing how it goes all over the place here. We've only got a couple of minutes left, and next week I won't be here, although at the suggestion of Wild Bill Melody, what I think we're going to do, we're still going to have the show, but it's going to be kind of an interview clip show. I'm going to go back and gather some of the interviews that I've done over the course of the years, little snippets of each here, and it'll be an hour of interviews, including a never before heard one from this past September at Sinomania with Nelson Frazier, better known as Mabel, Viscera, Big Daddy V. Haven't heard it, I don't believe, on the air before, and we'll have that for you, as well as some other great things. Plus, I'll throw that wedding webisode in there as well for my buddy John. Congrats to he and Val, who will be getting married next week. Some more reaction here. Dan chiming in, 3 hours could be good for Raw. Also love the live Impact. That could be good, but the Brooke Hogan thing, geez. Ross from the Minnesota Wrecking Crew. I don't know, TNA Live. Remember what happened last time Impact went live? Yeah, it was on Mondays against Raw, but it lasted 2 weeks, so we'll have to see. Well, all told, it lasted 9 weeks, but who's counting? Eric, the other half of the Minnesota Wrecking Crew, do I smell a WCW-ish fall for the WWE? Let's remember how horrible the 3-hour Nitros were. And also Evan, we haven't heard from him in a while. He chimes in, if done right, both WWE and TNA can be successful with their changes. Looking a little more optimistically. TNA needs to continue to get better and have compelling storylines, and WWE needs to do a better job with the mid-card, especially the titles. Hopefully, if TNA gets better, then WWE will have to bring Raw up to the next level. I think TNA could benefit more because all they can do is go up and get better. WWE is already at the top and comfortable with its position, so they need competition. Competition's what drove the Monday Night Wars, which drove another semblance of popularity throughout. And that's going to just about do it for me. Bill Melody's up next with the Country Music Hall. Again, interview show next week. I won't be on the air live, but I'll obviously have a webisode to go over the results of Over the Limit, as well as look back at some of the infamous weddings in wrestling history. When I'm back on the air 2 weeks from now, June 2nd, we want to look at the most awkward moments in wrestling history. So definitely stick around and chime in for that. You can certainly do so on the Facebook fan page, WBCB Pro Wrestling Weekly. Until 2 weeks from now, thanks for listening. Be back. Stay tuned for Bill Melody here on BCB.
1490 WBCB, Levittown, Fairless Hills, Trenton.